Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 14th day of March in the year 2022. Sure hope you're enjoying your Monday no matter where it is you are in the country. And if you're local, hope you are not too hungover today, day after the West Hudson St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is our lead story this week. And I will get into that in just a moment. But before I do, I have some news to share. You will find in this week's newspaper a column from Jim Hague, who has been our sports reporter since 2002. He tells a great story about how he came to get the job here at The Observer and how 20 years later, this is his final week as our sports writer and our sports reporter. You know, if there is one thing, it's the only thing really, it's one of the few things that's been consistent out of the last 20 years at The Observer. It is that when you turn to page 9 or wherever sports begins, you would see Jim's face with his Sports View column and his 3, sometimes 4 stories, often with an athlete of the week and other features about kids who have done incredible things and some great athletes over the year, hundreds of athletes who he has covered over the years. Well, Jim is going to retire, and he has already hung up his microphone for the public address of Rutgers Newark at NJIT, and this week is the final week he will write stories for The Observer. And in my time here, all I can say is how fortunate I've been to have worked with the hardest working sports journalist in the world. He has never slowed down in all these years, and he's doing this on his own. He's going out on his own terms. Couldn't be happier for Jim. But the one thing I am certain of, and we all are, is that it'll never be the same without Jim Hague. And for all of the parents out there who have kids in high school who he didn't get to profile, I know you guys are all going to be disappointed too, and all the athletes who have known him over the years, the coaches, the athletic directors, maybe even some people who were involved with Queen of Peace too, you never know. But this is it. We say our farewell to Jim this week. He is what this newspaper is all about, local community journalism. You know, he had the opportunity to write about the Mets. He had the opportunity to write about baseball. He had the opportunity to write about football. He had the opportunity to write about just about anything he wanted. But he never took that up because he always wanted to just write local stories about the local high school kids who deserve the coverage that he gave them for 2 decades. And it's not going to be the same without him. So from me, of course, from Lisa and Bobby, Michelle, Kimmy, Ronnie, all of us, we are going to miss you, Jim Hague. And it's been the honor for me of a lifetime to be able to have called you my colleague and prep brother. Thank you for all you did for us for 20 years. And your shoes are going to be very hard to fill. Those shoes will, however, be filled by Jason Bernstein, who begins next week. And I will introduce you to Jason more next week. You have probably seen his work on NJ.com and in the Jersey Journal. He will continue to do that work while also doing sports reporting for us here at The Observer. When we go, let's get back to the front page now. The parade returns. Boy, it was cold yesterday. At 1 o'clock, I went over to the start area at Frankie Rogers Boulevard and Harrison Avenue, and within 5 minutes, even though I had hand warmers in my gloves, my fingers were frozen. Whoa, man, was it cold. But it was so nice to see so many people who I can't remember the last time I saw so many of them. You know, this parade, the honorees were all supposed to take their honors in 2020. We know that didn't happen because the West Hudson St. Patrick's Day Parade was canceled about a week after we all started to feel the effects of COVID. And so congratulations to the honorees, Pat O'Donnell Jr. and to Jack Dunphy and Anthony Coleman for their finally getting their day yesterday. The crowds were decent. I'm sure the cold kept away a lot of kids, younger kids, in carriages and things, but there was still a decent-sized crowd along the parade route that wound its way from Harrison to East Newark and into Kearney. And we congratulate the West Hudson I always screw this up. The West Hudson United Irish Associations for the tremendous work that they put into putting this parade together, and Ellen McGarr especially. Tremendous work. Congratulations to you all. And on the bottom of the front page this week, Assemblyman Gary Scheer and Senator Paul Sarlo, they have had a bill signed into law by Governor Murphy that will prohibit any public entity in the state of New Jersey from doing any business with Russia. Self-explanatory. Very important story if you haven't heard about it. It didn't really make much news on TV or anything of that nature, so we brought that to you this week, and you'll find it on the front page. As we move on to the inside, my tribute to John Taylor, lieutenant who retired after 26 years on the Kearney Police Department. He was most recently the commander of the Traffic Bureau, and he has retired, gone on to greener pastures, had a tremendous career. Almost seems like he was universally loved by all of his colleagues, and our good friend Carol Manley pulled together a walkout for John when his last day came about in the early part of the month, and they gave him presents and things of that nature. I'm going to be honest with you, I've never seen a non-chief get a farewell the way John Taylor did, but I think that speaks volumes to the kind of cop he was and the kind of guy that he is. He's just a great all-around human being. And I know personally I'm going to miss getting a chance to work with John. And I know his 30-plus second wives, also known as most of Kearney's crossing guards, are going to miss him as well. And a tremendous job by the crossing guards coming together. The way that Carol Manley pulled this off was just nothing short of spectacular. And it, again, speaks volumes to the kind of guy John Taylor is. So read a little about his career, and I hope you will salute John with me as his fine career comes to a close. North Arlington had a council meeting last week, and there was a whole bunch of things going on, a whole bunch of people being honored, including somebody turning 100, Elaine Lobowecki retiring from the health department, and the women's club, and the athletic teams, and things of that nature. And Ronnie Lear was there, and he covered it for us magnificently, and he brings you a recap of all the people who were feted at this meeting. And it was nice to see it, too, because the meeting was in person at the Senior Center. The Borough Hall is being renovated. And Mayor Pronti also gave out his first ever Distinguished Citizen Award to a crossing guard who saved the life of a young girl in 2021. So read all about that on pages number 4 and 5 of this week's edition of The Observer. Of course, Jim Haig has his usual sports this week, including a very, very touching farewell column, Sports View. And I hope you'll take a chance and read that because it's really, really great. It explains how he got the job and all that stuff and how he lasted for 20 years here. Great stuff. And as we do every week, we have 2 pages of classifieds. If you're looking for a job or a place to live, anything of that nature, you're going to find it in this week's section, classified section, only in this week's Observer. That's going to do it for this week's edition of The Observer Live. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me tonight, as you do every week, and for allowing me to come into your homes and to share the news of the day, of the week. Lots going on. I got a whole bunch of stories that I had to hold this week, and you'll see those in the coming weeks as well, including something that I worked on last week. I got to interview Lonnie Bunch, the secretary of the Smithsonian, who is a Belleville native and a great human being. And for space reasons, I wasn't able to get the story in this week, but I spoke to this man last week. He is a federal official, one of the highest-ranking people I've ever spoken with in federal government, even though he's not a legislator necessarily, but what a down-to-earth human being he is, and I can't wait to share his story with you if you haven't yet heard it. He's born in 1951 and lived for the first 17, 18 years of his life in Belleville. Went to school number 5, graduated from Belleville High School in 1970, and he has a lot to say about Belleville and how it shaped him into the man he is. But you look for that next week or the week after in the coming issues of The Observer. So, from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, it's Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and I hope to see you back here 1 week from today or before that if anything happens during the week. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody, and enjoy this upcoming great weather. It's finally going to be warm for a couple of days in a row. Take care.